Good evening. I'm Jennifer Andrews, the proud co-advisor of the National Honor Society, and I'd like to welcome all of you to our 74th annual induction ceremony. We're here tonight to celebrate the remarkable academic, social, and civic achievements of our most outstanding students by inducting 85 new members into the Taunton High School chapter of the National Honor Society. At this time, I'd like to welcome our treasurer, Peter Moore, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing at the conclusion of the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. I would now like to call Anna Abizade, a member of the National Honor Society and the Select Chorus, to sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was beautiful. Thank you, Anna. At this time, I'm going to call Mrs. Kristen Keenan, our assistant principal, to the podium to make some further introductions.
Thank you, Mrs. Andrews, and welcome here this evening. And thank you, Peter and Anna. As your assistant principal, it is my pleasure to introduce your National Honor Society officers. President Jack Pulowski. Vice President Felicia Diaz. Secretary Victoria Hart. Treasurer Peter Moore. Historian Dakota Costa. Community Service Coordinator Sydney Morton. Publicity Coordinator Mia Blano. And the amazing advisors of the National Honor Society, Ms. Sarah Gibson and Mrs. Jennifer Andrews. And in the audience tonight with us are members of the NHS Faculty Advisory Committee, Ms. Julie Barbour, Mrs. Kathy Barriga, Mr. Michael Fox, Miss Allison Murphy, and unable to be with us tonight, Mrs. Tracy Menard. At this time, I would like to invite our principal, Mr. Scott Holcomb, to the podium.
All right, thank you, Assistant Principal Keenan. I would now like to introduce the staff and dignitaries on stage. When I call your name, please stand up and be recognized. Our Associate Principals, Jason Torres, Dominique Williams, Eric Lefebvre, Lee Lefebvre, Joseph Pomfret. And before I announce the other folks on stage, we have a special person in our audience tonight who's a former superintendent of Taunton Public Schools, Mr. Donald Cleary. Mr. Cleary, where are you? Mr. Cleary has 2 grandchildren tonight who are being inducted as well. Here's to those grandchildren. On stage, we have the Mayor of Taunton, Shauna O'Connell. Superintendent of Taunton Public Schools, Jonathan J. Cabral. Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Christopher Barada, sends and extends his best wishes, but he couldn't be here tonight. Here's to Chris, though. Members of the School Committee. Chairperson, Dr. Gregory Demello. Gil Enos. Secretary, Christine Fagan. Jordan Fiore. Louis Laura. And Chair of the High School Subcommittee, Nathan Pulowski. 2 members that couldn't be here tonight but say congratulations are Derek George and Stephen Vieira. I would now like to ask our Mayor, Shauna O'Connell, to come to the podium to say a few words to our inductees.
Nobody's quite as tall as Mr. Holcomb or Principal Holcomb, I don't think. But good evening. It is such an honor to join everyone tonight for this prestigious National Honor Society induction ceremony. And I just want to give a quick thank you to the many people who have worked very hard to make this night a very, very special and memorable occasion. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes, so thank you all to the committee, to the teachers, the advisors, the guidance counselors, the staff who have put in a lot of time and effort for this evening. Thank you. And of course, thank you to the Superintendent Cabral and the school committee for their support of the program. So we see in the program the pillars, the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society: scholarship, leadership, service, and character. And that says a lot about these young folks that are here tonight being inducted and those who are already members of the society. You excel academically, you are recognized leaders in your, among your peers, I guess, and in our community. You serve our community in many different ways, and you conduct yourselves with the highest level of integrity. That says a lot about you, and it's a lot of work. You put a lot of work into your academics, into your sports, into your community service, into really everything you do, into life, and you do it because that's who you are. You hold yourself to a very high standard, and you stand out among your peers. It is so inspiring to see you all aspire to meet the rigorous criteria of becoming a member of the National Honor Society. And this is something that you will carry with you for a lifetime. A couple years ago, we were here, and I don't know if they're going to do it this evening, but the members were asked on the stage to stand up if they were members of the National Honor Society. Most of the folks over there, my colleagues, stood up. Me and a couple others didn't. So kind of made me wish I tried a little harder in high school to get into the National Honor Society. But it really is something that something that you carry with you for a lifetime and that you will be proud of. And I want to just give some special recognition to the moms and dads and family members who are here this evening, who love these students and support them and really have helped them to be who they are today and where they are today. I know you are all beaming with pride, and this community is also beaming with pride. So thank you all for being such amazing students and extraordinary people, and congratulations on this this tremendous achievement this evening. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connell. At this time, I would like to invite our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Jonathan J. Cabral, to address the inductees. Mr. Cabral?
So I'll just warn everybody, prior to this evening, I was warned and reminded several times by somebody in the audience to be very succinct with my comments tonight. But I also will start my remarks by demonstrating courage and demonstrating leadership, because it's not often that a superintendent of schools gets to address an audience that also involves or also includes his daughter. So if I do become emotional, I apologize, but this is a great day in the Cabral family, and I'm very proud of my daughter as well as all the students, because you're all my kids tonight. So I want to thank the mayor, our school committee, Principal Holcomb, high school administration, staff, parents, guardians, caregivers, and students. And for the parents, we have the hardest job in the world, and I don't think anybody gave us a manual or a playbook on how to be parents. And I always like to joke with my wife that despite my best efforts to mess up everything in our family, somehow we turned out pretty good kids. So I like to think that we have kids who have persevered and take the good qualities that we have and learn from maybe not the greatest qualities that we have, and take those qualities and are the great young adults that we see here before us. So standing before you and standing before this group of students who have excelled academically and given back to their community, it gives me tremendous hope. And I think we could use a little hope right now when you think about where we are as a society and what's going on throughout the world. It is truly humbling and an honor to address you all this evening. And I always like to start with the why. You know, when our kids were young, they were constantly asking us, why? And even as we become adults, sometimes we lose sense of that why. So why are we here, and what does it mean, or why are we inducting these amazing students into the National Honor Society? As you've heard earlier, they have demonstrated scholarship, service, character, and leadership. Scholarship means learning of a high level academically, study, and achievement. So as students, you are open to challenges, you have demonstrated a passion for learning, and you really understand the power of yet, which means you have a growth mindset. You know there are areas that you need to improve, where you can improve. Service is the action of helping others, putting the needs of others first, developing other leaders and leading by example. You're not afraid to give up power or authority, and you say, let's do it together versus go off and do it yourself. You place the needs of others before the needs or before your own needs. When it comes to character, character is the inherent complex attributes that determines a person's moral and ethical actions and reactions. So you have a solid reputation. You avoid behaviors that might be considered toxic. You demonstrate strength, which means you stand for what's right, and you stand by your convictions, and you're not afraid to take a stand. Leadership is the art of motivating a group of people to act towards or achieving a common goal. In order to demonstrate leadership, you must be resilient. That means you don't give up easily. Flexibility, the ability to work with others. Courage, not to be afraid to fail or to take risks. Humility, which means you don't take yourself serious, but you take your work serious. And responsibility, you have demonstrated that you can be trusted. Last year I shared a story, and I'll try to be quick in my promise to my daughter to be real succinct with my comments. But when I was in high school, down the road in Fall River, I played with a very talented soccer player, a soccer player who was being scouted and recruited at the highest Division I levels in New England. And a lot of these coaches, a lot of these scouts would come to our games, and after the games, they were constantly pressuring this player to sign a national letter of intent. Because as soon as they sign, you become part of that program. But this player held off. He decided that he was going to wait until the spring signing. So every game would come and go. We'd all be asking him before the game, are you going to sign today? Who are you going to sign with? What are you waiting for? Make a decision. So finally, come spring, he signed his national letter of intent. So I had a chance to speak to him after he signed, and why did you wait so long? And this is what it means to be a servant leader. Now, thinking about others before your own needs. Because he very easily could have signed that national letter of intent and walked around Durfee High School like the cat's meow. But instead, what he told me was every game that we played, scouts came to those games. They came to watch me. But while they were watching me, they might have noticed you. They might have noticed someone else on the team. And because of him waiting and thinking about others versus himself, several players on that team, including your superintendent, had the pleasure and the fortunate opportunity to play soccer collegiately beyond high school. So when I think about all the gifts that we see before us and the hope that I have for the future, you have many gifts. And that part of your brain that doesn't develop till you're 23, right? It's still developing, but always remember, I learned that from my wife, the school psychologist, always remember, and this is difficult at your age, but always remember to place the needs of others before your own. That's what it means to be a good citizen, and that's what it means to be a servant leader. So in closing, I want you to look around this room, and there are countless examples of servant leaders. Reflect on those who have helped you and supported you along the way, especially those who did it without asking for anything in return. Those who day in and day out exemplify scholarship, service, character, and leadership, the same characteristics that you are being recognized for this evening. Before laying your head to rest tonight, you have permission to use your cell phones before bed. I want you to text or email that special person in your life who has been there for you through the good times and maybe not so many good times, and let them know how you feel about them, or let them know that you appreciate what they have done to support you along the way. That is your homework tonight from the superintendent of schools. Got it? Give me one clap if you heard me. Give me 2 claps if you're going to do it. Very good. Proud of you. So I'll end in this. The price of true leadership is the willingness to place the needs of others above your own. Great leaders truly care about those they are privileged to lead, and understand that the true cost of leadership privilege comes at the expense of your own self-interest. That's by Simon Sinek, the author of Start With Why. And lastly, I'll end with a quote from Mark Twain. Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. So please go out there and help spread some kindness. I'm very proud of you. It is an honor and a privilege to serve as your superintendent of schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Cabral. And now please join me in welcoming Dr. Gregory Demello, Chair of the Taunton School Committee.
Good evening. It's an honor and a privilege to be before you here tonight, but I'm a little bit discombobulated. My day job, which is at Bridgewater State University, takes me to Boston a couple times a month, and today was one of those days. So I left downtown Boston, the Back Bay, about 3 o'clock, and there was a rollover of a tractor-trailer on the Southeast Expressway. So it took 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to the great city of Taunton. So for all you folks, young students that are going to be going to Boston, take commuter rail, don't take your car. The school committee and I take our jobs very, very seriously, and we understand the impact that we have in helping you get educated. By that, we understand that a stroke of the pen could make a big difference in a student's life with budget and other responsibilities that we have. We think that the educators are very, very important role models in all your lives. And we feel that we need to extend a thank you to our educators tonight for making you all successful in the positions that you are here tonight. So please extend a big thank you to the educators. I also thought my duty tonight was to introduce the school committee colleagues, but Principal Holcomb already did that for me, so my speech is even going to be shorter. But to conclude, thank you so much, thank you. To conclude, I think the superintendent summed it up. You're all our kids, and for that, we congratulate you and wish you the best of luck, and thanks for the support systems in place, which are the parents, grandparents, or anybody in your life that make you a better student. Please don't forget your community. Please come back. If you go off to college, please come back to the city of Taunton and bring back good things so that we can learn from you. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Demello. So, unlike Superintendent Cabral, somebody in the audience told me to be quick and wants to be kind of called out. So, Madeline Tocares, you told me I better be short and sweet and to the point, Madeline, so I hope I do you justice on this, but I do have a message. So I received this card before the break, the winter break here in December, and it says, God's gift. So I'm going to tell you a little poem at first, and we'll talk about the card, and hopefully you see the connection that you're God's gift at the end of this little piece here. So it's the smaller things in lives that really matter. And this is taken from a poem I read a long time ago. You may have heard of it. It's called The Starfish. It kind of starts off with, there's a man walking on the beach, and he looks down the beach. He can see the beach is littered with all these little objects, but he can't quite see what those objects are. He comes upon those objects and knows they're all starfish. And he sees a person bending over in front of him, throwing a starfish in the ocean. The person walks a little further, bends over again, throws another starfish in the ocean. And that person on the beach walks up to the guy who's throwing the starfish in the ocean. He's like, hey, man, what are you doing? There's like hundreds of thousands or millions of starfish in this ocean, or on the beach, actually. The guy goes, well, listen, I'm trying to throw one back and save it. He's like, you're not going to make a difference at all. You're not making a difference at all. Look, and there's millions still left. The man bends down again. He picks up that starfish. He throws it in the ocean. He goes, hey, I made a difference to that one, didn't I? And so I thought to myself about things that, there's a reason this card came, and I had no idea it was going to show up on my doorstep or in my mailbox. It's because I thought about small gestures, small little things. Even though a million of starfish, that one starfish that goes in there, it's the small things that matter. They add up to big things. Common courtesy and politeness. Hey, good morning. It's good to see you. A smile. It's nice. Holding the door. Please and thank you. A hug before you say goodbye to your parents or your guardians. I love you, Mom and Dad. I love you, Mom. Love yous go a long way. So for me, there was this person in school that all I did was say hi to every day. Made sure to go out of my way to make sure that person felt comfortable in our great school. And I had no idea the impact that I was going to have in that person's life. And with that card came a 5-page letter about what a difference saying hi to somebody and making them feel warm and welcome made in their life. And I'm challenging you right now to stay focused, as Superintendent Cabral said, on giving to others and putting at times others first. Think about the difference, and I won't tell you what was in that letter because it's very personal, but the difference you can make by being kind to each other. You're the salvation of this world to come. You're all God's gift. Don't ever forget it. So God bless all of you, and congratulations tonight. Madeline, did I do okay? Was that like time-wise? All right, I got double thumbs up. Okay, good. So next up, I'd like to invite Jack Pulowski to deliver the President's Address. Mr. Pulowski.
Inductees, current members, families, friends, and distinguished guests. Being inducted into the National Honor Society distinguishes you as a high-achieving scholar who also strives to make an impact by being a role model in the THS community through your character, service, and leadership. I hope you are proud to be recognized today for the hard work you've put in and the high standards you've held yourself to. And I'm proud of you too. Last year during the induction, President Araceli Alicia told us that it's okay to not have it all figured out and to give ourselves grace if we don't live up to the expectations that others hold for us. We can be true to ourselves. Taking in her message, I was confident that going into senior year, I would be prepared for the challenges I would face. But as prepared as I was, I underestimated how much stress and ambition would overwhelm me. I never expected to become so consumed by self-doubt every time an adult would ask me about my college plans. And I never expected to stare at 250-word essay prompts for hours, feeling like I'd forgotten how to string words together. I grew a lot through this process, and I learned that many of these challenges are unavoidable. I've reflected a good deal on what has helped me get through this time. Service is one of the most important pillars of the National Honor Society, and one that I leaned on heavily to sort through the stress of this year. Service can present itself in many ways, and we all have our own strengths, interests, and opportunities, and that makes all of us in the service that we perform unique and important. During my most stressful times, I realized that the most impactful service I can give is to my own sphere of influence. Often we get stuck believing that our acts of service have to do the most good to impact the most people. And that kind of change starts from what we can reach at arm's length, our closest friends and family, and our community. When we get a feeling that a friend may need a little more care, listening to that feeling, acting on it, offering time and kindness can have a lasting impact. Maybe you take the time to talk it through with them or just to listen. Meeting for breakfast with friends might be transformative, showing them that they aren't as isolated as they feel. There's no overestimating the power that your company can have on someone you care about. Recently, when my grandmother was on vacation, my grandfather wasn't answering his phone, and we got worried. My uncle asked me to drive over and check in at the house. I dropped what I was doing, and I drove around until I found him playing guitar at the abandoned Winton Mill, where he rents studio space. He landscapes for them. I just sat and I listened to him play, and afterward, here's what he told me. I play here and I let loose, but lately I felt alone. I appreciate you coming to see me and listening. Those 30 minutes were easy but powerful, and the time served us both. Now, on my way to work, I'll always check to see if his truck is at the mill down the street. But how do we balance the energy that we share with others with our own? Well, the center of that sphere is ourselves, and we're an important recipient of our own service. Acknowledging how you feel and keeping track of your own mental well-being is fundamental to balancing your energy. Part of being service to yourself is realizing that you're not going to have all the answers. There's almost always someone able and willing to support you, and you can always ask for help. Rarely, when help is not at hand, it's up to you to find a way to build yourself up and not get lost in your struggle. Sometimes we are at odds with our own goals and end the day frustrated that we failed to accomplish everything. Learn to celebrate the small victories. Hey, I didn't finish that assignment, but I definitely made progress. I checked in on my friends today, and for the first time, I'm wearing a tie that I bought for myself instead of one that my dad got for a wedding in 2007. I like to think of the mind as a cup of water. These little victories, the help that I receive from others, the time I take for myself, all work to fill up that cup. As your cup fills, you have the energy to give to others and fill up their cups. Without anything in your cup, you can't be expected to serve others. And it's okay to acknowledge when your cup is empty. When you care for yourself, you can attend to the others to fill up their cup. And hopefully the cups you fill help fill others, and they will continue to do the same within their spheres. This is how service to yourself can serve a greater community, and how your service to others can help fill your cup too. With that, you can reach your arms out even further to uplift more people. Congratulations, and best of luck in everything you all put your mind to. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'd now like to call our Vice President, Felicia Diaz, to introduce tonight's guest speaker.
Every year, the Taunton High School National Honor Society welcomes its new members with a carefully selected guest speaker. These speakers exemplify the very qualities our members are beginning to demonstrate themselves. In thinking about a member of our community who personifies the National Honor Society values of scholarship, service, leadership, and character, we did not have to look far. Mrs. Anna Sukforth, also known as Suki or Sukes, was appointed to her teaching position in September of 1985, shortly after getting married. For the past 37 and a half years, she has been devoted to two families, the one she built with her husband, Mr. Matthew Sukforth, and the one she built here with all of us at Taunton High School. She has taught us both world history and United States history, and generations of her students have enjoyed historical simulations. Early in the semester, we hear her say, well, I'm off to kill the Archduke and start World War I. Then later, while teaching the Cold War, she can be heard exclaiming, today's the day I blow up Taunton. Mrs. Sukforth always brings history lessons home, and in the case of the Cold War, she showed students what the impact of a nuclear weapon would be in a student's hometown. And spoiler alert, it's not good. But her lessons were tinged much more with everyday wisdom than death and destruction. For more than 37 years, Mrs. Sukforth turned historical lessons into life lessons. Her favorite historical figure is Anna Eleanor Roosevelt, and no wonder. They both shared a razor-sharp wit and an empathy for the disenfranchised. Mrs. Sukforth has been a model professional. She's been the recipient of both the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History and the National Endowment for the Humanities Scholarships. She's been the advisor to the Taunton chapter of Key Club and to our very own National Honor Society. Mrs. Sukforth is in her final year of teaching and plans to retire in June. She currently resides with her husband in East Middleborough and has two grown sons. Her students will likely remember her for her passion, her iconic sayings and one-liners, her stopwatch for timing leisurely bathroom breaks, and her famous dessert, Sukes Nukes, which are the bomb, by the way, which is, imagine 6 layers of explosive goodness, which, spoiler alert, are very good. Please join me in welcoming to the podium the sweet, the witty, and the always punctual Mrs. Anna Sukforth.
Somebody start the stopwatch. I have it perfectly timed. Wow, never been on stage. It's been a while. Eleanor Roosevelt said it best. Do one thing each day that scares you. I'm frightened. I'll try to stand up. Okay, here it goes. When I was asked to be the speaker for National Honor Society induction ceremony, my initial thought was the goodbye tour for this old goat had begun. Unlike Tom Brady, I plan to stay retired. In all seriousness, I am truly honored to have been asked to be your featured speaker. I was myself inducted into the National Honor Society back in 1979. I worked hard to achieve good grades, but more importantly, I loved learning and still do. Teaching is a part of my DNA. I am the third generation teacher, as my mother and grandmother were both public school educators. Sorry. My teaching career really began in my senior year of high school. My French 4 teacher asked me to tutor a first-year French student who was struggling with the language just as I had in my first year. And with a lot of hard work and patience, she passed. Additionally, I helped a classmate who had been out of school for an extended period to get caught up with her studies. I found both experiences to be rewarding and fulfilling. I graduated from Bridgewater State University in 1985, as my mother and grandmother had before me, with a degree in history with a minor in secondary education. I wasn't really sure I'd ever find a job as a history teacher. However, in early September of 1985, I received a call from a dear friend, Dr. Richard Zussman. He told me that I needed to get over to Taunton High School that very morning because they were interviewing candidates for a social studies position. That interview with Pete George and Bob Daly, and later with Dr. Croto, changed my life. For 37 and a half years at Taunton High School, I've had a career that has been both challenging and rewarding. I was in my third year at Taunton High School when Dr. Bill Hanna asked me if I would take over as National Honor Society advisor. He said that it was time for him to step aside, something to do with taking the position at the start of the Reagan administration and finishing when his administration ended. The position of National Honor Society advisor then was an unpaid honor. As advisor, you were expected to plan a banquet for some 150 people. My wedding wasn't that large. An induction ceremony complete with students lighting candles. Imagine 85 of you lighting candles. I lost sleep. Even though Dr. Hanna guided me through the process, it was still a daunting task. To my surprise, the former headmaster, Mr. George, wanted to know why I wasn't seated at the head table with the honored guest and why my name wasn't included in the program. I told him that it was my very first National Honor Society banquet, and if it turns into a disaster, no one will know to whom to pin the blame. I got a laugh from Mr. George and perhaps earned his respect. My very first National Honor Society president was none other than your current advisor, Mrs. Jennifer Andrews. She was exceptional. She took charge in organizing fundraising events that would benefit the Taunton Area Hospice. She also took charge of finding a guest speaker. I witnessed her leadership and her commitment to service firsthand. To this day, she continues to exhibit those qualities that one would expect from a member of National Honor Society: academic excellence, leadership, service to others, and good character. The Taunton chapter of the National Honor Society is being well served under her direction. To those who are about to be inducted into the National Honor Society, I say congratulations. Now what? You are expected to maintain your National Honor Society status through your continued commitment to the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society: academic excellence, leadership, service to others, and good character, both in school and in the community. Your commitment is essentially preparing you to be an upstanding member of society. You are expected to be a lifelong learner and share your passion with the next generation. Recently, I shared with my students a quote by the Greek philosopher Socrates. He states, "Intelligent individuals learn from everything and everyone. Average people from their experiences. The stupid already have all the answers." To my surprise, one of my students took out his personal journal to write this quote down. I asked him what was he doing, to which he responded, "I like quotes that I can use with my friends." However, my favorite quote on the subject of intelligence is by Eleanor Roosevelt. She stated, "Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. So let's elevate the conversation, can we?" You are also expected to be a leader in your community. We need inspired leaders who are resourceful and are problem solvers. Be the change in the world, be the change that you want to see in the world, stated Mahatma Gandhi. Leadership also involves setting a good example for others, so let us be mindful of that fact. Additionally, you are expected to be an active participant in community service because you can make a difference. Historian Howard Zinn stated it best: "Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform a world." So let's get busy. Finally, you need to be the best version of yourself, someone who is honest, reliable, as well as one who has empathy and respect for others. The world needs more people who will stand up for what is right and not for what is popular. As my time at Taunton High School draws to an end, I will continue to adhere to the commitment that I made in 1979 to the guiding principles of National Honor Society: academic excellence, leadership, service to others, and good character. Thank you very much.
Need Kleenex. So, thank you, Mrs. Sukford. We think long and hard about who to invite to speak at this event, and I think we made a great choice. All right, now for the good part y'all been waiting for, candle lighting. At this point, I'm going to ask our officers to lead us in the formal induction ceremony.
Membership in the Taunton High School chapter of the National Honor Society has been earned by the successful demonstration of 4 qualities held in high esteem by the Society. We call these qualities the 4 pillars. We will now review these qualities and light the candles representing them, beginning with the eternal light of knowledge.
Scholarship. Scholarship is a commitment to learning. It means a student is willing to spend hours reading and studying, endeavoring to enjoy the lasting benefits of a cultivated mind. True scholars continue to learn even when their formal education has ended, for education is a lifelong pursuit. Knowledge may lead to success, but it can be acquired only through diligence and effort. Learning lights the lamp by which we read the past and ignites the possibilities of the future. Our candidates have the charge to continually expand the world through the opportunities inherent in scholarship. Now I will light the candle for scholarship.
Leadership. Leaders exert a positive influence on the school. True leaders take the initiative in class and in school and community activities, despite the fact that the price of leadership is sometimes sacrifice, the willingness to yield one's personal welfare for the benefit of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources may exist, these are ineffective without the guidance of a wise leader. Thoughtful leadership is always needed. Thus, to lead is an essential charge to each of our members. Now I will light the candle for leadership.
Character. Character is a force within each individual which distinguishes that person from others. Without true character, one cannot develop self-respect nor earn the respect of others. It is a force of character that guides one through life's successes and struggles. Character is achieved, not received. It is a product of constant action, the daily striving to make the right choices, to practice self-control, and to live with integrity. Our members are charged to demonstrate such qualities as reliability, honesty, and sincerity, proving by example that we value character. Now, I will light the candle for character.
Service. Service can be described in various ways. In the routine of the day's work, many opportunities arise to help others. Willingness to work for the benefit of those in need, without monetary compensation and without recognition, is a quality we seek in our membership. We are committed to the idea of volunteering our time and talents to the creation of a better tomorrow. Our candidates have the charge to continually give back to their community. I will now light the candle of service.
I would now like to call upon our associate principals to introduce the inductees to the National Honor Society. As they are called, new members will sign their names in the official National Honor Society membership book to acknowledge their accomplishments and record their date of induction. Please hold your applause until all of the names have been read. Mr. Torres, would you please come to the podium?
Good evening, and congratulations to all our inductees. Ava Alves. Drew Alves. Alex Andrade. Christine Azor. Emma Bradley. Paige Briggs. Brendan Brown. Sophia Cabral. Andrew Callie. Braden Callie. Michaela Callahan. Molly Carnes. Maya Carvalho. Sophia Claudio. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Dominique Williams to the podium.
McKenna Crail. Mila DeFave. Ethan D'Souza. Kyle Ducharme. Condoleezza DeWay. Jillian Eamon. Lexi Fadrigalin. Kovu Fernandez. Mia Fernandez. Audrey Ferreira. Natalie Ferreira. Matthew Freitas. Sebastian Freitas. Janelle Garcia. Zachary Gay. Jocelyn Gomes. And I'd now like to call Mr. Lefebvre to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Jalen Halpin. Mia Hanna. Ethan Harris. Ayla Jackson. Cloud Johnson. Zachary Johnson. Ryan Keenan. Owen Kelly. Anelia Ladino. Nathan Legere. Riley Lemaire. Jasmine Lucier. Bridget McDougall. Miranda McLeod. Devlin Madden. Brimari Maldonado Rivera. Courtney Martin. Vienna Martin. Mark Jean Maumeku. At this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to Mrs. Lee Lefebvre.
Callie Mello. Aiden Mendes. Sarah Mendonca. Ava Montero. Landon Morgado. Braylon Nichols. Jakai Nicholson. Madeline O'Brien. Davelin Paliuka. Samantha Perret. Connor Pasquale. Kaylee Pepin. Jenna Pereira. Caroline Peetnick.
Stephanie Quinn. Stephanie Resendiz. I would now like to call Mr. Joseph Pomfret to the podium.
Megan Rose. Kim Ryan. Jaden Sabina. Christian Santos. Ariana Shannon. Morgan Smith. Megan Stanton. Nev Strawbridge. Madeline Tokars. Jonathan Trin. Maya Vieira. Sarah Vieira. Emma Whittinger. Winnie Yang. Nyla Young. And Alexei Zakshevsky. Congratulations, National Honor Society 2022-2023 inductees.
To make your induction official, I now ask that all inductees and current members of the National Honor Society stand to recite out loud the Society Pledge with me. Let's do this together. Here we go. I pledge to uphold the high purpose of the National Honor Society.
Which I've been selected.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing the entire chapter again of the National Honor Society. I'd like to call back Felicia Diaz to make the closing remarks to this ceremony.
On behalf of the Taunton High School National Honor Society, we have many people to thank for our success and the success of this evening. Thank you to Mr. Cabral, Mr. Barada, and the school committee for your skillful, thoughtful, and compassionate leadership. Thank you to Mr. Holcomb and Mrs. Keenan for your unflagging support of us and every student in Tiger Nation, and for making Taunton High School a place we are proud to call ours. Thank you to Mr. Torres, Mr. Williams, Mr. Lefebvre, Mrs. Lefebvre, and Mr. Pomfret for all you do every day to support us and for being here to celebrate this momentous milestone. Thank you to our teachers, guidance counselors, coaches, and advisors for challenging us, cheering us, and giving us opportunities to develop our talents. We owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to those who have worked behind the scenes to make tonight possible. Members of the Faculty Advisory Committee, Ms. Barbour, Mrs. Barriga, Mr. Fox, Mrs. Bernard, and Ms. Murphy, who devoted many hours to evaluate the candidates. The broadcasting team, whose time and tremendous talent have helped us create a ceremony that highlights our accomplishments. The culinary arts team for preparing tonight's refreshments. And thank you to our advisors, Mrs. Andrews and Ms. Gibson, for their time and dedication in guiding us throughout the year and for making tonight's celebration possible. Above all, we must thank all of you, the family and friends gathered tonight, who have loved, guided, and supported us in all of our endeavors. We are proof that no one achieves anything of significance alone, and we are grateful to all of you for everything you have done to help us reach our goals and achieve our dreams. To all of you, from all of us, thank you. And please feel free to join us in the cafeteria for light refreshments.